The call came exactly at noon. I remember noticing the time, because I had just poured coffee and was deciding whether to step outside for a few minutes. My father didn't usually call during the day. When his name appeared on the screen, it already felt slightly unusual. I answered anyway. He didn't greet me. "You're not welcome here." His voice was flat, not loud, not emotional, just closed. For a second I thought I'd misheard him. "Excuse me." "You heard me," he said. "Don't come to the house today." There was a pause. The kind that usually invites explanation. None came. So I ended the call. At least, I thought I had. I set the phone down on the counter and stood there for a moment, trying to decide what had just happened. It wasn't anger I felt first. It was that old, familiar confusion, the one that appears when someone says something so certain that it leaves no space for discussion. I picked up my coffee. That's when I heard voices. Faint at first, then clearer. The line hadn't closed. My father was speaking again, but not to me. "To steal her inheritance," he said. I froze. My mother answered quietly, her voice thinner than usual. "She's not stealing anything. You don't understand what she's doing," he continued, lower now but sharper. "The notary is coming because of her. She's trying to take control of everything." I leaned against the counter and listened. The strange thing was how calm I felt. Not calm because the words didn't hurt. They did. But because something about the moment felt strangely familiar. Like hearing a story you've already heard before, just told with different details. My father had always been good at that, taking a situation and reshaping it until the center of it changed. Weeks earlier, I had sat across from a notary in a quiet office. Papers had been spread across a desk. We had talked slowly about legal protections, about property, about how easily family finances can become unstable when decisions are made emotionally, instead of formally. My mother had been part of those early conversations. Not all of them, but enough to understand why they mattered. None of it had been dramatic, just careful, just documented. Now, through the open line, my father continued speaking as if none of that existed. "He's coming today," he said, "at noon. That's why she called you earlier." "I didn't call," my mother said. "Well, she arranged it," he insisted. "She thinks she can just walk in here with a lawyer and take everything." The word lawyer made me almost smile. Notary, not a lawyer. But I said nothing. Instead, I placed the phone back on the counter and watched the sunlight move across the kitchen floor. Their voices drifted in and out, sometimes clearer, sometimes muffled as they moved through the house. My mother sounded uncertain. Not convinced, just unsure. I checked the time, 12:04, right about when the doorbell would ring. And a moment later, it did. Through the phone speaker I heard footsteps. A door opening. The shift in tone that happens whenever someone outside the family enters a room. A man's voice introduced himself politely. "The notary." My father sounded different now. "Control. What exactly is this appointment about?" he asked. There was the soft shuffle of papers. "I'm here regarding the estate arrangements that were scheduled," the notary said. His voice carried the careful neutrality of someone used to tense rooms. My father spoke quickly. "There's been a misunderstanding. My daughter is trying to interfere with—" "I understand," the notary interrupted gently. "However, the documentation we prepared was requested earlier with the agreement of the involved parties." Silence followed. Not dramatic silence, just the quiet recalculating that happens when a story meets a document. My mother spoke. "I remember discussing something about protection, but I didn't realize it was today." "That's correct," the notary said calmly. "Today is simply a review and confirmation of the structure that protects your interests long term. No accusation, no argument, just explanation." My father tried again. "She's manipulating the situation." Another pause. "The request came through appropriate channels," the notary replied. "Everything here follows standard legal procedure." I watched the sunlight move a little farther across the floor. In the house across town, chairs shifted, paper slid against wood, voices lowered, control didn't collapse. It didn't explode into shouting. It simply became less certain, less solid. Finally, I picked up the phone again. The line was still open. I could hear them sitting around the table. For a moment I considered hanging up and leaving the moment where it was. But something in me wanted to close the circle. So I spoke. Quietly, "I don't think so." 3 voices stopped at once. My father's came first. "Hello. I didn't raise my voice. I hung up earlier," I said, but the line stayed open. No one spoke. I imagined the room, the table, the papers. My mother realizing how much had been said. "I heard everything," I continued, calm and steady. "You don't have to explain it to me." My father started to respond, but the words didn't come easily anymore. And I didn't wait for them. "I'm not coming to the house," I said. "You were right about that." The notary's voice drifted softly in the background, asking my mother another procedural question. Life moving forward. Process continuing. Before ending the call, I added one last sentence. "The meeting can go on without me." Then I hung up for real. I never went to the house that day. The documents were signed anyway. Nothing dramatic happened afterward. No apology arrived. No confrontation waited for me later. Just a quiet shift, the kind that happens when a story someone has been telling for years suddenly has witnesses. And for the first time, it wasn't the loudest voice in the room that decided what was true.